Have you ever watched a child learn to speak? They don't sit in class, they don't read grammar books, they don't memorize vocabulary lists. They just listen, copy, laugh, and talk all day, every day. And somehow, without pressure or perfection, they become fluent. They speak with emotion, with confidence, with joy. Part 1. The Silent Struggle. Now look at yourself. You've been studying English for years, maybe since school, maybe all your life. You've spent hours repeating rules, memorizing tenses, finishing exercises, passing tests. You've done everything right. Yet when the moment comes to speak, your voice disappears. Your brain freezes, your heart races, your mouth stays still. You know the words, but you can't find them. You understand what people say, but your tongue refuses to follow. You feel trapped inside your own knowledge, like you're locked behind invisible glass, watching yourself fail again and again. And the worst part is, you start to believe it's your fault. You begin to think maybe you're not talented, maybe you're too old, maybe English just isn't for you. But listen carefully. It's not your fault. You were never the problem. The method was. You were taught to study English as a subject, not to live it as a language. You were trained to think, not to feel, to remember, not to connect, to be correct, not to be confident. That is why you can read perfectly, but can't speak freely. That is why you can understand everything, but still feel mute inside. Because what children do naturally, you were never shown how to do. It's very simple, but you don't know how. Part 2. The Cage of Perfection. From your first English lesson, you were told that mistakes were bad. Every red mark on your notebook whispered, "Be careful." Every correction from a teacher made you smaller, quieter, more afraid. You learned to measure your worth by how few mistakes you made, not by how brave you were to try. And slowly, English stopped being a language. It became a test, a performance, a constant fear of getting it wrong. You started translating every thought before you spoke, checking every sentence in your mind, editing yourself before the words even left your lips. You studied English like mathematics, believing every answer had to be perfect. You memorized rules instead of feelings, charts instead of rhythm, logic instead of life. And in that process, you lost the most powerful part of language: freedom. Perfection built a cage around your voice. It silenced the child inside you who once loved to play, to try, to explore without fear. You became a prisoner of your own expectations, waiting for the moment when you'd finally be ready to speak. But that moment never came. Children don't wait to be ready. They don't wait for permission. They speak first, learn later, and laugh through the mistakes. That's why they grow faster, because they live inside the process. You were taught to avoid mistakes. They were allowed to dance with them. Maybe you were never afraid of English. Maybe you were just afraid of being wrong. And that fear became the wall between you and your voice. A wall made of good grades, grammar rules, and years of silence. But even that wall can be broken, because the truth has been in front of you the whole time. It's not complicated. It's not hidden. It's very simple, but you don't know how. Part 3. The Child's Secret. If you want to speak like a child, you must first learn as a child does, not by analyzing, but by experiencing. Children don't study language, they live it. They hear a word, they repeat it, they use it, They play with it. They shout it in the playground, whisper it at home, sing it to themselves in the dark. They never stop using what they learn, and that's why it never leaves them. Every sound they make trains the muscles of the mouth. Every repetition builds confidence instead of fear. Every mistake becomes a teacher, not a punishment. And because they aren't trying to be perfect, they become natural. When a child says, "I goed" instead of "I went," no one corrects the spirit behind the word. They smile, they repeat, they move forward. The child doesn't even realize they made a mistake, yet the brain learns faster than any textbook could teach. That's the beauty of natural learning. It's not about memorizing, it's about becoming. You once had that ability too. You once learned your first language without effort, without rules, without shame. But somewhere along the way, you were told to stop learning like a child and start learning like a student. You began to believe that intelligence meant control, that maturity meant perfection, that speaking wrong meant failure. Now you must unlearn that belief. You must return to the way you once learned everything, through curiosity, emotion, and use. Because fluency is not a result of grammar, it's a rhythm of courage. It's the habit of trying again. It's the willingness to sound silly until you sound free. When you rediscover that rhythm, English will stop feeling foreign. It will stop feeling heavy. It will become alive again, a language you feel, not just understand. And that's when everything begins to change. The truth has always been the same. It's very simple, but you don't know how. Part 4, the reprogramming. Your brain isn't broken. It's simply been trained the wrong way. For years, you've practiced English like solving math problems, logical, structured, controlled. But language doesn't live in logic. It lives in rhythm, emotion, and sound. Children don't study their language. They absorb it. They live surrounded by it. Every sound, every word, every sentence becomes part of their world. Their brain hears it, feels it, repeats it, and builds it into instinct. That's how fluency is born, not from rules, but from repetition with feeling. You can train your brain the same way. Surround yourself with English every day, not as a subject, but as a space you live in. Change your phone, your thoughts, your routine into English. When you make coffee, talk to yourself in English. When you walk, describe what you see in English. When you're tired, whisper your feelings in English. Every small moment becomes a signal to your brain, this language matters. Then repeat out loud, not silently in your mind, out loud. Let your mouth learn what your brain already knows. Because fluency doesn't come from memory, it comes from muscle. Every sentence you say trains the rhythm of your tongue. Every sound you make carves confidence into your voice. Copy native speakers. Don't invent new sentences. Steal them. Repeat the same line again and again until it flows naturally. Match their rhythm, their tone, their emotion. You're not memorizing, you're reprogramming. This is how your brain learns to feel English, not just know it. Think in English. Even for 5 minutes a day, build a small island in your mind where translation doesn't exist. Describe your world in English words. Imagine your thoughts flowing in English sentences. The more you think in English, the faster speaking becomes effortless. You don't need perfect grammar. You don't need big words. You need presence, rhythm, and courage. Because real learning is simple: repetition, emotion, and use. It's very simple, but you don't know how. Part 5, the fall and the rise. Every child falls when they learn to walk. They stumble, trip, cry, laugh, and get up again. They don't call it failure, they call it growing. That's exactly how language works. You learn to speak by falling forward, one mistake at a time. But adults forget that. You try to avoid mistakes, so you avoid speaking. You wait until you're ready, but readiness never comes. Fluency doesn't begin when you're perfect. Fluency begins the moment you open your mouth, even when it's broken. You learn to speak by speaking, not by waiting. Every word you say, wrong or right, is progress. Every mistake you make rewires your brain for the next try. Broken English is not shameful. It's powerful. It means you're brave enough to speak. It means you're learning faster than those still silent. Say the sentence 50 times if you must. Say it while walking, cooking, or looking in the mirror. Whisper it. Shout it. Own it. Because every repetition builds a new connection inside your brain, one that only action can create. Don't be afraid to sound imperfect. Perfection is sterile. Emotion is human, and human is how you connect. Children don't speak beautifully. They speak honestly. That's what makes them fluent. They don't aim for correctness, they aim for connection. That's the mindset that transforms you from a student into a speaker. So fall, speak, laugh, learn, rise. Because the truth never changed. It's very simple, but you don't know how. Part 6. The Rebirth. One morning, you wake up and something feels different. English doesn't sound foreign anymore. It feels familiar, like a language that has been waiting for you all along. You no longer translate in your head. You no longer fear mistakes. You just speak. Not perfectly, but freely. Not because you finally learned every rule, but because you finally stopped needing them. You start your day in English. You think in English. You dream in English. You whisper to yourself in moments of silence. You laugh in English. You feel in English. You live in English. You no longer study English. You live inside it. You no longer chase fluency. You embody it. And that's when you realize you never needed to be a genius. You only needed to be fearless. The secret was never hidden. It was always here. In the way children learn, in the way they play, in the way they fall and rise again. Language is not a subject. It's a heartbeat. It's the bridge between your thoughts and the world. And when you finally cross that bridge, you discover something greater than English. You discover yourself. So remember this. The truth has always been simple. Very simple. But you didn't know how. Now you do. And from this moment on, you will never be silent again.